This is the second part of the interpretation of hidden potential. Grant talks about three aspects of character skills in the book. One is one's own efforts, the other is to use help from external forces, and the other is to establish a system. Let's talk about our own efforts first. We say we need to cultivate our character, but you are already tired of hearing words like work hard and strive. What I'm talking about here is not hard work and willpower in the general sense, but how to become unusual. Grant's book pursues advanced culture and advanced productivity. He breaks down own efforts into three methods. Dare to do things that make you feel embarrassed. Absorb information like a sponge. And be an imperfectionist. In my opinion, these three methods can be summarized by one principle, which is to be proactive. Being proactive does not mean that your boss asks you to submit a document on Friday, but you take the initiative to work overtime and submit it on Wednesday night. As long as you are doing things according to others' requirements, you are passive. Being proactive means deciding what to do and how to do it. It means that I do it not to satisfy other people's requirements, but to satisfy my own requirements. This is self-driven or internally driven. Sam Altman once said, "The most successful people I know are primarily internally driven. They do what they do to impress themselves, and because they feel compelled to make something happen in the world." And this means that the criteria for judging should be set by you, not by others. This is why Grant calls on us to be imperfectionists. Perfectionists are those who strive to max out every single metric for themselves. They are the top students in school, getting A's in every subject. They will make their resumes impeccable. You can think of several such people immediately, and Grant will tell you one common trait among them. They won't achieve truly remarkable accomplishments. The statistical conclusion is that true masters tend to be those who got a lot of B's and C's in high school and college. Why can't perfectionists become masters? Because they love solving simple and familiar problems the most. The kind of question that has an obvious correct answer. If you strive to be right in everything, you will be living according to other people's standards, and you will not get far. Grant says perfectionists make three mistakes. First, they dwell on insignificant details. It's not easy to score 100% in the exam. You have to do everything right. But if you have that energy, why don't you use it on more advanced issues? Second, they avoid unfamiliar situations and difficult tasks that may lead to failure. They choose courses that they are already good at. The more they delve into one field, the less they dare to try new fields. Third, they view making mistakes as a shame. This makes it difficult for them to learn from their mistakes. As we mentioned in the previous video, Grant is a national-level diver. I never thought that diving had anything to do with business school, because in the past, diving seemed to me to be a low IQ sport. All you had to do was follow the standard. But after listening to Grant, I realized that diving is actually very advanced. There is a concept in Japanese culture called wabi-sabi, which means short-lived and flawed beauty. Grant believed that diving was a wabi-sabi sport. You can't achieve absolute perfection in high-level movements, nor should you pursue absolute perfection. What you really want is high difficulty. 10 points in a diving competition does not represent perfection, but excellence. Grant's personal experience is that, when he pursues perfection, he will be timid and afraid of making moves. Many people think that practicing diving should be the best in all aspects, and do your best. However, a large number of experimental studies have found that this all-round requirement will only make people perform worse. Seeking perfection will cause you to lose focus. The mentality of high-level training is to focus on the most important movements. You have to aim at a very high level and very clear goal, and just do it well. You want to push your limits on high difficulty, rather than do well on low difficulty all round. You see, this has the same meaning, as Kevin Kelly said, don't be the best, be the only one. In today's world, rewards favor singular points of excellence rather than comprehensive mastery. Grant says people judge your skills more by your highs than your lows. Of course, if your job is to be a nurse, you probably still need to make sure you do every little thing well. But if your job is to innovate, no one cares how many times you fail, as long as you succeed once. So the correct strategy is to find the X factor and quickly form a minimum viable product instead of seeking perfection. You don't need to please everyone. A total of 105 studies of more than 70,000 people show that chasing external goals reduces happiness. The correct way is to judge for yourself and aim for personal growth. But pleasing yourself doesn't mean making yourself feel comfortable. Growth comes from leaving your comfort zone. Learning a new skill can be very pleasurable, and in order to pursue that pleasure, you have to do things that are uncomfortable, uneasy, or even embarrassing. Why do children learn languages so quickly, but it becomes so challenging for adults to learn a foreign language later in life? Traditionally, people believe that language learning is slow because there is a window period for language learning, and the plasticity of the adult brain decreases. However, Grant said that research results in recent years are increasingly inclined to believe that the decline in language learning ability is not caused by biological reasons, but by incorrect learning methods. There is a woman named Sarah in the book, whose native language is English, is proficient in 5 foreign languages, and can conduct daily conversations in 4 other languages. She reached an intermediate level of Mandarin after living in China for 6 months. Her husband is a Cantonese. Before getting married, in order to surprise her future parents-in-law, Sarah secretly learned Cantonese in 7 months of spare time. Her secret to learning is to intentionally seek embarrassment. Sarah would throw herself into an environment where only a foreign language was spoken, making sure she spoke only the local language. Not only is she not afraid of making mistakes or being laughed at, she is also happy to make them. There is also a language learner who requires himself to make 200 mistakes every day so that he can ensure sufficient opportunities for improvement. The truth is that you can't go on the field ready, you have to learn by practicing. Another principle is to intentionally adopt uncomfortable learning methods. For example, if you want to be a stand-up comedian and you only like performing jokes, but not writing jokes, then what you should do is write jokes. The more you fear something, the more you need to expose yourself to it. If you think it is easier to listen to an article than to read it, then you just need to read it. In the experiment, students were given 20 minutes in a popular science article. Half of them listened and half read. At the end of the experiment, the listening group liked the lesson more than the reading group. But in the test 2 days later, the listening group scored only 59%, while the reading group scored 81%. Discomfort increases understanding. Research indicates that individuals with dyslexia may actually have higher comprehension skills. Proactive people take the initiative to do uncomfortable things. Being proactive also includes actively absorbing information. It is not difficult to find useful information in the modern world. In Parish's book, Clear Thinking, there is a specific discussion on the issue of gathering information. Here Grant emphasized initiative. There is a story about 2 African javelin throwers that may impress you. Julius is a Kenyan who has loved throwing javelin since he was a child. He has no coach or training facilities, and mainly relies on self-teaching. In Africa, sports are a good way out for children from poor families. Julius went on to win a bronze medal at the 2010 African Championships. The athlete who won the gold medal at that time was named Ayub, an Egyptian. His figure, especially his arms, were specially designed for javelin throw. He was discovered by high-level coaches early on and received scientific training. Later, Ayub also received a scholarship to train in Finland, which is known as the javelin capital of the world, and has the top coaches to guide him. The chart depicts the evolution of the performance of Julius and Ayub, as well as 2 other javelin throwers. Ayub has been a top youth player since his debut. His performance has improved and had ups and downs as he has grown older, and he has been ranked 2nd since 2013. Julius started from a very low level, but made progress all the way. Especially after 2010, his progress accelerated, and finally surpassed Ayub, and won the World Championship in 2015 with a score of 92.72 meters. Why did a child with no talent or resources defeat a child with talent and resources? Because the learning models of these 2 people are different. Grant compared it to Ayub being like a piece of plasticine. He will do whatever the coach asks him to do, and you can knead it however you want, but I can't move it myself. Julius is like a sponge. I absorb the information you give me, and I actively absorb the information you don't give me, and I also filter it, and absorb it selectively. Julius also went to Finland to train for a few months, but he was mainly self-taught. His moment of enlightenment came when he saw a YouTube video of a top javelin thrower in an internet cafe in 2009. It turns out that javelin also has so many things to pay attention to, such as technique, strength, flexibility and speed. It turns out that the most reasonable throwing posture is like this. Julius learned and practiced at the same time and experienced it at the same time. He filtered out the stuff that didn't suit his physical style, tweaked his throws, and developed a unique set of moves. In contrast, when IAB's scholarship ended and he had to leave Finland, he didn't touch the javelin at all for 5 months. This is the difference between active and passive. It cannot be, "You want me to learn," it must be, "I want to learn." Don't be plasticine, be a sponge. The various points in this video will remind you of deliberate practice. We conv. Deliberate practice requires you to leave your comfort zone. Grant specifically talks about embarrassment therapy. Deliberate practice requires the pursuit of high difficulty. Grant said that diving cannot pursue perfection, but must pursue wabi-sabi. Deliberate practice requires targeted training. Grant said that people should be sponges, actively absorbing and filtering information. Deliberate practice also requires immediate and effective feedback. Grant here provides a social experience. Don't ask people for feedback, it is better to ask for suggestions. You just gave a presentation and are asking for feedback from your friends. Some people may only have nice things to say, while others may find it pointless to be critical. But if you're asking for advice, say, "What do you think I can do to speak better next time?" You'll get more valuable feedback. Deliberate practice also requires that you must be able to endure boring repetitive training. We will talk about Grant's new solution in the next video. We already know about deliberate practice, but you may not pay enough attention to people's initiative. Our entire education system is not a system that encourages initiative. Sapolsky would say that initiative is also a kind of talent, and perhaps the most crucial one.